All right, the 2020 NFL draft is complete. The Steelers making 6 picks over the 3-day draft, and we have 2 left to talk about. Mike Prisuta, another guy from Maryland. The Steelers with pick 198 in the 6th round. They went with safety Antoine Brooks, who was also a Terp, like the running back that they got a little bit earlier. Now, this is a guy, Coach Tomlin said, he can play safety, he can play sub-package. He's also a special teamer. We heard from Terrell Austin as well. What do you like about him?
The same thing the Steelers do, Missi. That 220-pound body, as Mike Tomlin referenced it. And, both of those guys discussed him as a potential solution. The Steelers went into this draft down Mark Barron, who played a ton of snaps last year. And Mark Barron is a safety by trade who converted to linebacker as his career progressed, and he was kind of that hybrid guy. And I'm not saying that the second Maryland Terrapin is in fact the answer, but he might be part of the answer. And yet another example of how the Steelers uncovered potential solutions in this draft to the questions they faced entering the draft.
Right, and you said it before, I think our last taping with the 4th round guys, safety was a position where you wanted to see them add depth. And the fact that he could probably come in right away and do a lot of special team stuff. He even said on his conference call, I'm physical, I like special teams, I love tackling. It's part of my job and what I do. And this is a guy who almost quit football. He kind of went through an injury that he had in high school where he thought maybe this is it, but continued to stay with it.
Yeah, horrific ankle and wrist, 5-hour surgery. He was a quarterback, a very good one, and that changed everything for him in terms of where he was going to end up going to school and what his career path was going to take. That's another kind of commonality. All these guys have pretty interesting stories. There'll be better stories if they're really good players, but certainly an interesting draft class, not a huge one, but top to bottom, guys that look like, again, might be solutions to questions that really needed to be answered.
All right, defense again for the Steelers' final pick. That was pick 232 in the 7th round, a defensive tackle, Carlos Davis, out of Nebraska. He is a twin. His brother went the round before, and Kevin Colbert, when we talked to him following the draft, said that they actually interviewed the twin brothers together prior to the draft in one of their Zoom meetings to get a chance to know him.
Yeah, I bet those guys do a lot of things together. But Carlos Davis, another guy that's really big and can run really well. That's kind of a theme of this draft, too. 313 pounds, and at the combine, Missi, 4.82 40-yard dash. 300-pounders are supposed to be able to run that fast. Both he and his brother, extensive track backgrounds, discus, shot put. I think we've talked about that on these review sessions that we've done here, how potentially helpful that can be. And if you have that kind of athleticism to play multiple sports, it bodes well. Davis is a guy, I think, who is considered by some, I know he's considered by some to be more developmental. Kevin Colbert even talked about upside, but guess what? Javon Hargrave isn't here anymore. There really wasn't a nose tackle on the roster. Now there is. We'll see what Davis can do with the opportunity.
All right, and overall, as Kevin Colbert was reminding the media whenever he wrapped things up, a little different this year in terms of a lot of seniors and not underclassmen, something that we're used to seeing with them. He said it was not intentional at all. They kind of realized as they started going, they were doing something different. But, it kind of works out, especially in a draft where there were so many unknowns. These are guys that they've been following for years and have been able to collect more information and be around a lot more as well.
Yeah, and maybe guys that are a little bit better prepared to jump in quicker. Maybe. I don't know. We'll see how it works out. I don't think anybody knows what's going to happen next in terms of when things begin lurching back toward normalcy and when we eventually get there. But one of those guys, the guard from Louisiana Lafayette, Dotson, it's fascinating to me. At the end of that press conference with Mike Tomlin, he was asked about drafting a guy who's pretty much just a guard. And does that imply confidence in Chukwuma Okorafor and or Zach Banner at that right tackle spot if it comes to playing them there and moving Matt Filer inside? And Mike Tomlin's one-word answer was?
Yes.
Yes. And then Kevin Colbert elaborated that they think both Okorafor and Banner are NFL tackles. They think Filer can play wherever they choose him to play. They think Dotson can come in and at least compete for that, as of now, vacant left guard spot. And another interesting about the bouncer / NFL lineman, one of the things Kevin Colbert emphasized before this started was all the guys they didn't have 40-yard dash times on, all the guys who didn't have complete medical information on. He was one of them, Dotson was, and lo and behold, I still can't believe that guy didn't get to the combine. There should be an investigation about that. But that's a guy, Kevin Colbert talked about, hey, we're going to have to trust watching the tape and what we know and trust what we know. And they did in that case too. So what's the standard cliche? A lot of boxes have been checked. And let's get back on the field sooner rather than later and see how this all fits together.
I agree. I miss the real football, but the draft definitely helped with that fix. Prisuta, always great to hang out with you, break down all the Steelers moves. I'm sure we'll do it again soon. So thanks for joining me this weekend.
Yeah. Did you ever zero in on how many years we've been doing this? I can't remember either, but it's been a while.
I think 14. I think 2014.
It's been fun. I look forward to it every year. Great job by you as always, and hopefully see you on the South Side one of these days.
Appreciate that. Same goes to you. Thanks, Trev.